Alright, so this is a video for changing a front engine mount. I had wanted to make this video as there was a lot of differing videos on YouTube already, but just wanted to make something that was more comprehensive as far as if you need to take the radiator fan shroud out or if you can leave it in. I do have a mid-rise scissor lift in my garage that I will be using just for the sake of getting better camera angles, but I imagine that most of you will have jack stands to be working on. And so what we're going to be doing is removing that front engine mount, which is right there. I'm going to point right there, and this is the one with wires. You can see that wire coming up. So I'm just going to let the video play through. I'm going to disconnect the wire to that. And I may go ahead and just take this radiator mount, or this shroud off, but without going through the hassle of draining the radiator hose or anything like that. So I'm going to try just taking off the shroud, which means taking off a bolt here and a bolt down there, and then disconnecting the wires and the connections themselves to the motors. And then I think I can kind of lift this up and out through the left side as there's a lot of clearance. I did remove the air box intake, which is over here. And that is just held on by two little plastic push-in retaining clips. So I'm going to do my best to try and just record everything and then edit this later and speed through it. So that's what I'm going to attempt. All right, so what you do is there's a kind of a tab that you push down on and pull back. Squeeze that. And wiggle it out. Oh, it's coming. All right, there we go. And so push down on this and then pull it out right there. There you go. That part's unhooked. All right, next we're going to take off the cowlings or these underguards on both sides of the bottom. They're held in by these plastic retainers that you can loosen with a screwdriver like this. Pull the centerpiece out. This will show up. So just go around along the bottom and take those out. Okay, those are gone. I have 5 of those, but there's probably 6 it looks like, and then we need to get looks like a 10 millimeter bit or socket to get the metal screws out that are holding them. I'm just going to use my impact driver to loosen these, just because it usually works pretty quick. Alright, now we get a little better view under here. This wire is actually held in 2 locations, but for our purposes we can leave it attached here, but I'm going to have to get this one that's up there, which I should be able to just get with those pliers. Or you can maybe even get a small socket put over the end of this to push it down. In fact, maybe that's what I'll try. Let's see if this works. So I'm just kind of putting the socket down over the back to see if that'll compress the clip enough to push it through. This is a 5mm socket from the back, and see if this pushes it through. Yep, 5mm socket, so it just fits over like that on the back. You push and then it'll come through. So there we go. Cable's unhooked. Now we've got to just work on these bolts and that center one. Alright, so I'm going to try, I think I'm going to probably end up needing taking that radiator shroud out just to give me some more breathing room, but I'm going to just loosen these lines from the bottom here. This I just push up and out, so that's loose. And that's it on this one. That just goes up in there, so loosen that one. And then I'm going to go up top and loosen the 2 bolts that I'd shown you sooner, and see if I can't lift this up and out of there. I'm going to see if I can't loosen these 2 bolts, and then unhook these connections, electrical connections. It looks like kind of the same thing. You need to squeeze with some pliers here. And all right, so we are going to try leaving the electrical connections because this is taking a little longer than it should. I'm going to loosen these up. It's 10mm. Now, okay, you see how floppy that is? And I'm hoping I can just bring it at least up and over a bit. Well, we'll just see if loosening it up and this much is enough to kind of give us the wiggle room we need down the road. All right, so we're going to try loosening this middle bolt here, 17mm. I may need a breaker bar to get this. Nope. Okay, so on the other side of this, there's actually a built-in nut on the motor mount itself. So I don't need to hold anything on the back side, it's just I'm loosening it up on this side. And it seems to be going pretty easy here. I'm going to loosen these other 2 down here. And these are also 17, but I do need another wrench to hold this from the back. So I've got a deep impact for this front one. We'll see what we can do here. Now I could probably impact this, which maybe I'll try. Oh yeah, that's pretty tough. Let's try. Let's try this. That's loosened up. And we're gonna get this back one. I don't know if this is gonna fit in there. Oh. So we may need to just do our okay. I'm gonna try it. I think I might have just gotten it off camera by just cranking hard with my leg instead, just to get enough torque, but let's see. I hate doing stuff off camera, but I wasn't expecting that torque. Alright, so let's see. Yep. Okay, so I actually got it to work. Just needed to push a little harder. I'm not the world's strongest guy, obviously. Loose. Pretty easily. That's the one. Lift this support engine to get that back one out without messing it up. So we'll do that now. I'm gonna lower this on the lift so it's kind of more even to like the ground. Not even to the ground, but lower to the ground. So I can get my other jack up here with a piece of wood, or with a block of wood to support underneath this transmission and lift up a little bit just to release pressure off this so I can loosen this engine mount here. Bolt, and then I've got to get this other middle one out. So, all right, see if this gets you an angle. So I'm able to pull this, I think, out. Well, let me try going up a little higher. There we go. Okay. Let me fix that so that's messed up. Alright, so that's those two out. And I'm just going to pan over here. I've got my jack, my floor jack. Oh, you can see it kind of on the right of the screen. I got my floor jack and a block of 2x4 just underneath the transmission bell housing. And I've just jacked it up just a little bit to where it's like free floating here. So I should be able to get this out pretty easy. I think. Okay. Alright, so that came out pretty easily. Sweet. Now the question is whether I can get this out without taking out that gosh dang radiator fan. So we'll see how long I mess around with it here on camera before I take it out. And see if I can have somebody come out and maybe just lift up the shroud from the top for a second, see if I can work it. Alright, they're filming. Okay, so I actually loosened the top radiator mount bolts up. And that way the whole radiator and shroud moves a little easier, so I don't have to drain anything. And that came out. Okay. So what I ended up doing here is taking off this 10mm bolt and another one down there, taking the radiator holder off, which then allowed me to move the whole radiator and shroud just enough to finagle that out of there. So that way you don't have to drain the radiator, but you've actually, in hindsight, maybe I don't even need to loosen the shroud. No, I would have needed to loosen the shroud in order to get this up. So if I were to do it again, I would definitely recommend loosening the radiator shroud and the radiator, just these top bolts, to where things can kind of move around, and then we'll have to resituate the radiator. But anyway, engine mount came out. And it is right over here. It does look a little bit broken and torqued. Let's see. And this has like a little cover thing which goes on the passenger side. I gotta remember I transfer that over on the passenger side, but you can see that it's broken there. And then I have my new one in here, which I'll put down to compare. Alright, so I'm gonna try and put this back in. Let's see if we can get this back inside here. Oh my god. Make yourself front here. Oh, hallelujah. That one. Oh, okay. Now I gotta get that other side. Oh, here we go. Okay. So we're now back up on top. I'm going to show you kind of in reverse order what I did on this radiator. So we just have the radiator mount. Oh, that feels like this side might be a little bit wonky. Let me go back down under here and make sure it's lined up this bottom. And it is, but it's just not set. Actually, no, there we go. Okay, now it's set. And it just sits to like a post in a hole down at the bottom. So, anyway, this is what you do. Is this was on here and held on by a 10mm nut. And then you just tighten these down, just like that. Manipulate your fan. I did end up having some help with manipulating the fan and the radiator from up above, just to kind of hold things up and out of the way when I was getting that mount out. So if you do have an extra person on hand to help with that, that could be handy. Alright, so now I'm attaching an electrical connection. The wire would normally come up. It came up kind of behind this, and then it clipped into this connection here, and then this was connected to this right here. Oh yeah, so that'll probably fit right there. Okay, so here we are. We're just going to put this connection back in. Clicked, and then we're going to push this black connector into this bracket that was holding this. Okay, that went in there. Alright, and then I'm just going to put together the bottom plastics, which I don't think you need to really watch me do again. So we're all back together, and just wanted to show you that's the mount in there. I was quoted about $800 by the dealer to do it, $400 for the part and then $400 for labor. The part was a Pioneer mount. It was about $100 on Napa with a 20% discount, and then it probably took me about 3 hours. I've been going nuts about 3 hours. So hopefully it'll with this video help you get it done much faster. But anyway, hopefully this is helpful for you working on a 2003 or even this, I think 2001 to 2003 was this body style Nissan Maxima. Thanks.